Hey, 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 it is an unstoppable day. And if it's Tuesday night, then you know it must be the Unstoppable Story Show with Terrence Leftridge. Welcome to the show. Thank you again for joining us on this Tuesday evening. You know, we understand here at the Unstoppable Story Show that you could be doing anything else in the world. And we're just so glad, we're so pleased, we're so honored that you chose to take a little bit of time to join us here on the Unstoppable Story Show, where we talk to ordinary people with unstoppable stories. How you guys doing out there in unstoppable land? Hopefully you are warm wherever you are, because I'm telling you, boy, where I am right now, I am 1 degree above a popsicle. I'm telling you, it is so cold. You say, how cold is it, Coach T? Man, it is so cold. I tried to clean off my car today, and my car said back to me, boy, get back in the house. So I ain't go nowhere all day today. That is just how cold it is. And for anyone who has ever lived in the Windy City, you know that it takes a lot to keep us inside. I mean, they call us the Windy City, so we are used to having wind, we are used to having snow, but we are not used to having sub-zero temperatures. Now, I didn't say sub-zero wind chill. I said sub-zero temperatures, and they are forecasting for the next 48 to 72 hours that our highs for the day are going to be below zero. I think when I just looked at the news earlier, about an hour ago, it was a nice balmy 1 degree here in the city of Chicago. Just makes you want to just get on a plane and come visit us, right? Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah, and if the planes could actually leave Chicago, trust and believe, I would probably be on a plane going to someplace else. But since I can't do that, and since you can't do that right now, why not just hang out in our virtual world of the Unstoppable Story Show? Come on in, bundle up, get close, get comfortable as we give you some informational conversation and some entertaining guests that are going to help you know that you can be unstoppable too. Hey, despite the weather, I have still had a great week, and we had a great show last week. So if you missed the show last week, why not go on over to our page, our Facebook page for the Unstoppable Story Show, and that's simply bit.ly/unstoppable stories. You can see all our past episodes right over there at bit.ly/unstoppable stories. You know, someone asked me today, how long have you been doing this? And I had to think about it, because while I've been doing the show in its different formats, first on internet radio and now live streaming video podcasting, I've been doing it since 2011. And I had to say, wow, since 2011, I've been doing it for 7 years now. First, it was the Next Level Living show, and then we transferred it over into the Unstoppable Story Show, more of a branding thing for what I do. But we have been doing these shows live every week, well, most every week, on Be Live TV, this platform that you see us right now doing it for going on 2 years right now. Now, that is something to holler about. That's something to do that virtual clap for, because anyone who does anything for that amount of time is definitely showing some type of commitment. And that's one of the characteristics of being unstoppable, and that's being committed to something. And we're committed to bringing you quality programming. We're committed to bringing you fascinating guests with unstoppable stories. So I just thank you for coming on in and spending time with us each and every week. And so you may be watching the show live, or you may be watching the show in replay mode. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter to us. Here's what I need you to do, though. If you are watching live, I want you to go ahead and type the number 1 in the feed, in the comment section, if you're watching us live. And if you're watching the replay, just type the number 2, and then I know you're watching us in the replay. I try to get back and answer all the comments that are out there, so trust and believe we will be looking for your comment in the chat, in the comment area. And I see some people have joined us already. So, hey, Robert Brooker from Be Livers group on Facebook. Thank you for joining. He says, good evening, Terrence. Ready to be blessed, and blessed you shall be. Thank you so much. We got Dorian H. Nash. She's saying, hey, Mr. Unstoppable. Hey, Dorian. Dorian has this great show that streams on Facebook as well as here locally on WCTV radio, winning victory through Christ, WVTC radio. Her show is called Mic Check. It's on Monday nights. So check out Dorian on Facebook and check out her show Mic Check on Monday nights. Thank you for joining. And we say, who else do we have here? Okay, so as they come in, we'll just continue to put them up on the screen. But I do want to tell you something real quick. I want to make sure that you guys, if you are in the Chicagoland area or in Northwest Indiana, I want to invite you out to an event that we are having here in the Chicagoland area. And I'm so excited about it because for 2 reasons. Because number 1, it is a collaboration. And number 2, it's going to be the first time, let me say it again, the first time that we are going to have a live studio audience for a live stream episode of the Unstoppable Story Show with Terrence Leftridge. Yay! You know, and 2 years of doing this and doing it from my studio here in Chicago, I've never had the opportunity to have a live studio audience. And you know, my word for 2019 is #elevate. Somebody put that in the feed, #elevate. And so one of the things I needed to do to elevate was to elevate the show. And so that's what we are going to do. We are going to take it from out of its restraints. We are going to take the chains off the show. We're going to take the restrictions and we're going to take it out to you. So if you are in the Chicagoland area on February 23rd, I am collaborating with the phenomenal Terra Poetry in Motion Cooks to do an author read literary showcase. Now we have 10 phenomenal authors from across the Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana area that are going to take the stage that day and bless you with excerpts from their books that they have out. And you can see those lovely faces right on the flyer on the screen right now. Each one of them has an unstoppable story of their own. And they're not only going to tell you what's in their book, they're going to talk to you about why they decided now was the time to share that information. And for people who are just starting out 2019, I know there's somebody out there that has been thinking about writing a book, has been praying about writing a book, has been wondering what they needed to do to write the book. Well, if that's you, then I need you to show up on February 23rd, because that's where we are going to unlock all the secrets of how you too can elevate in 2019 and get your book out of your head and out to the masses, because your message is needed. You were created for a reason, and that message inside of you will only work if you get it out of you. So join us on February 23rd for the Authors Read Literary Showcase. You can simply go and register. It's a free event. It's a free event. Let me say that again. It's a free event. So all you have to do is go register and have your face in the place on February 23rd by simply going to bit.ly/authors read. February 23rd, and I'll give you some more information about that at the end of the show. So looking forward to seeing you guys again for the first live stream and live taping of the Unstoppable Story Show. Want to see your face in the place, and who knows, you might be on camera with Mr. Unstoppable. making me look good too. So hopefully you guys can join us. All right, all right. So, and again, just so you know, our show is sponsored in part by SNL Vacations. The lovely Sharon Johnson Leffridge. Yeah, she's related to me. That's my boo. That's my wife. SNL Vacations. If you are looking for scenic locales, if you're looking for no hassle customer service, and if you're looking to make long lasting memories with your family and friends, then let SNL Vacations book your next vacation. We specialize in group cruises and group events. No event too small, no event too large. So simply check out SNL Vacations. Check out the website. You can see all the different locales and opportunities that are out there by simply going to snlvacations.com. snlvacations.com. Scenic locales, no hassle customer service, and the best way to create long lasting memories for you and your family. All right. So let's jump right into the show. Got another great show, got another phenomenal guest that I can't wait to bring up to the stage for you today. You know, I told you guys last year that I had the opportunity to be a part of two book projects last year. Of course, everybody knows about the book that we did in May, which was the part of the Unstoppable Story series. You are unstoppable, moving from past to purpose. That came out in May. But little did you know that while I was working on one book, I was also working on another book project. And that book project was this phenomenal book, the Live Your Best Life book series. And this one was entitled You Only Get One. And it was a phenomenal project with 10 phenomenal authors. And some of them you have seen on this show in 2018. And I vowed to try to get each and every one of them on the show that haven't been on the show in 2019, because this was a powerful book. Live your best life. You only get one. And for many reasons, we can talk about why people don't live their best life. But one of the reasons that I know that many people don't live their best life is because they've had to deal with what our guest calls the big L. Now, I ain't talking about loser that everybody else uses that for, but the big L is talking about loss. Whether you have lost your job, like some of our federal employees have had to endure over the last 35 days of wondering where the next paycheck was going to come from, whether it was the loss of a relationship. You know, the holidays came and people break up right before the holidays so they don't have to buy the Christmas gift, or they don't have to buy the Valentine's gift that's coming up. Or maybe it's a physical loss. Loss of a loved one, loss of a spouse, loss of a parent, loss of a sibling. Whatever that loss has been, it keeps us from being unstoppable and living our best life. And so, how do we overcome the big L in our life and move forward to living the life that He created us to live, and to keep being stoppable in 2019? Well, my guest is going to shed some light on that. She's going to tell us her unstoppable story and shed some light on how you can overcome your big L, whatever your loss is in your life, and get a second chance of being a champion in 2019. Well, my guest is a phenomenal woman. You know, she talks about some women dream about wealth, and some actually talk about it. And then there are women who demand wealth, and then they take it. Yeah, that's my girl, Jennifer Harris. Jennifer has devoted her life to creating financial freedom for Black women around the globe, not just the United States, but around the globe. She's the CEO of Purses, Pumps, and Power. I just love it. Purses, Pumps, and Power. Purses, Pumps, and Power. And she has ignited a worldwide movement for Black women to step into their destiny of wealth. And her soon-to-be-released book and blockbuster documentary, The Black Woman's Declaration of Independence, will be the beacon call for Black women everywhere to rise to new heights, seizing their economic power that is theirs to claim. So she says you might call her many things: a real estate guru, a stock market servant, the #1 wealth strategist for Black women in the world. But she simply wants you to call her a friend to every woman. And she's not only just a friend to every woman, she's a friend to a few men like myself. So I want to welcome graciously to the show the one, the only, the phenomenal Jennifer Harris. Jennifer, are you with us?
I am here. Thank you so much for those kind words, Terrence. And it is a blessing just to know you in this collaboration with this book, Live Your Best Life.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I am blessed to be around such greatness. The #1 wealth strategist for women in the world, a real estate guru, a stock market savant. You know, I can't even say I'm a stock market baby, much less a savant. So, you know, we're going to have some offline conferences so I can build up that part of the portfolio. But I appreciate, with everything that you've got going on in your life, that you were able to stop by the Unstoppable Story Show and spend a little time with us. So thank you for that, first and foremost.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I really, really, really appreciate it. It's an awesome day.
No problem. So now I could read your bio till the cows come home, but it's one thing I know: people can tell us more about themselves better than any bio ever created. So why don't you take about 30, 60 seconds and officially introduce yourself to our Unstoppable Stories audience?
Well, sure. So like you mentioned before, I am Jennifer Harris. I'm actually born and raised right here in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I'm a real estate broker. I used to be an engineer. I'm a country girl at heart, a daddy's girl, was a daddy's girl. And I'm just a woman that likes to help others. I love, love, love life now that I found my purpose. And then I also just love to make my clients happy in real estate and just looking to enjoy life and bring more people with me.
Well, you are definitely living your best life. And that is the name of the book that we both are co-authors in. So let me ask you this before we start talking about the book and talking specifically about your chapters in the book. Mm-hmm. And also Arlene wants to say hi to you, Jennifer.
Hi, Arlene.
Hey, Arlene.
Who actually got engaged last time together.
Yeah. She tried to steal our thunder, but that's okay. Yes, indeed. Yes, she is part of the Live Your Best Life book club family too. She was in the book after us. So thanks, Arlene, for watching. And again, if you guys are watching, go ahead and put 1 in the feed. If you are watching us live, put 2 in the feed if you are watching us on the replay. And we would love to get back in contact with you. I'm sure Jennifer's going to look at all these comments after the show and she will reply to you in kind. So, Jennifer, the one thing I always ask our guests before we get started with the conversation, since it is the Unstoppable Story Show, what does it mean to you when you hear the word unstoppable?
Wow, let's see. What it means to me to be unstoppable is I hear the word fearless. And I think about someone that's unstoppable is also someone that is confident. And being unstoppable is I would say someone that knows who they are and is not afraid to go get it. So I would say unstoppable to me would be someone that's actually fearless.
Great word, fearless. I love it. We're talking to Jennifer Harris. She is the fearless CEO of Purses, Pumps, and Power. And she's also got a blockbuster book that's coming out later on this year. But tonight, we're talking to her about her chapters in the collaborative book that we were both a part of called Live Your Best Life. You Only Get One. So, Jennifer, I mean, each one of us in the book had our own reasons for wanting to be a part of this particular book series now in its 8th iteration of the series. But what was it about this book, this title, that wanted you to be a part of the Live Your Best Life, You Only Get One book series?
Well, actually, my brother Ruben West, of course, who is in charge of, or basically has the vision for, live your best life. And I shared some very personal things and moments that happened in my life. And he knows about some personal things that happened. And so when he first told me that you need to get this story out, I often was not really talking about it. But he was like, you really need to get the story out. There's so many people that you can, be blessed with your story. And just the fact that the title, Live Your Best Life, You Only Get One. That is so true today when people oftentimes take their life for granted. And I actually did that myself. So I just kind of felt like the title just resonated with me. It was so on point with things that maybe my clients didn't know, or even my family, or some of my friends. So the Live Your Best Life, You Only Get One was totally a topic that I can really speak on.
Absolutely. I felt exactly the same when he first mentioned it to me, Dr. Ruben West, who is the creator of the Live Your Best Life series. There are so many titles that he's come up with over these 7 books that he's done. But this one really just spoke to me because, you don't get any do-overs in life. You don't get a chance to do it over again in most things. So, but especially in that one life. And, someone says that, live your life because you don't get out of it alive. So it really resonated to me. What was I just living life, or was I truly living my best life? So right. I'm glad that he was able to encourage you and really motivate you to tell your story, because it's a powerful 2 chapters, and they're the last 2 chapters in the book, but I say that they saved the best for last. So absolutely, there you go. Your 2 chapters are called My 3 Greatest Losses and The Second Chance to Become a Champion. So let's talk about the first chapter, my 3 greatest losses.
Right.
What's that chapter all about?
Well, as you mentioned before, I look at life now as not only lessons, or losses as lessons, but the same kind of vice versa. So when I started thinking about the losses, first of all, I actually lost myself. Going back when I was growing up, I always played sports. I had a very close family, very big family, but I was always trying to be this overachiever. And at the same time, I was covering up or trying to cover up a lot of pain. And one thing I realized, even today, there's a lot of people walking around with a lot of pain, or they may put a smile on their face, but they're hurting on the inside. And I was actually one of those individuals, although I may get compliments, oh, you look beautiful, or you're very talented. I didn't feel like I was talented or beautiful on the inside. And so when I say about the 3 greatest losses, number 1, I lost myself in a sense that I was walking around with a lot of pain, a lot of guilt, a lot of shame. And I also was walking around with a lot of unforgiveness for myself. Like I had a hard time forgiving myself for different mistakes. So I actually lost myself in that. That's my first loss. And then later on, after, I got into my career, my mother, she was an educator. I was very close to my mom. And so I actually got to a point where she actually was diagnosed with lung cancer. And this was during the height of my career in real estate, where I was traveling, going back and forth looking to go back and forth between Nevada and North Carolina to do real estate. And so I got the phone call, that nobody really wants to get. And so she told me, she gave me her blessings to go back and forth, but I knew I had to make sure I'd be home for my mom because she was diagnosed with lung cancer. And so about 6 months later, I actually lost my mother to cancer. So that was my second loss. And then 4 years later, I lost my father to, he actually had a heart attack. And actually today is his birthday. He would have been 75.
Wow.
But I actually lost my dad to, just having a heart attack. But I really tell a lot of people he actually died or passed away with a broken heart because him and my mother was together over 50 years.
Yeah.
So those three greatest losses, taking the L was very tough and difficult. But, that's what I write about in the chapter in the book.
So we're talking to Jennifer Harris on the Unstoppable Story Show. Go ahead and give her some hearts, some love if you are liking what she's saying. And if these tips that she's going to give us resonate with you, please share those comments down in the comment section. But those three losses, the loss of your mom, the loss of your dad, and then the loss of yourself. Those are losses that not many people can recover from. One out of the three losses has the potential to take people out. And then when we talk about the loss of self, you actually go into some detail in the book about you were at a point where you were ready to take yourself out as well. Can you touch on that a little bit? Why the losses was getting you to that point?
Sure. Like I mentioned, I was really walking around with a lot of pain. There's things that happened in my childhood that I didn't know how to really deal with. I had the best parents in the world and I could have told them anything, but oftentimes I just kept my mouth closed about the pain that I was walking around with. And I noticed that we have people like that right now. One of my sayings is closed mouths don't get fed.
Absolutely.
And the thing that I realized is that I wasn't getting fed, not only just, maybe I was getting fed definitely spiritually, because my faith is totally, and God is totally, what had, brought me through. Because my mother, she made sure we went to church. My father made sure he was a coach and a mentor. So it wasn't that, but I just allowed myself to try and do it all, putting a lot of that pressure on myself. And when the pressure got I would say too strong, or I really didn't know how to speak up for some of the things that was happening in my life. And thank God I didn't have social media back then, because I could imagine like a lot of people have a lot of pressure, and just to add on social media, right now it's really, really,
right.
really prevalent. And I even just read a couple of stories about even one of the pastors, Bishop Jakes just prayed for him, and prayed suicide off of his life. And then I read another story about another pastor just a few days ago who actually took his life. So it's very, very, very real. And, being at that low point and low moment, when you think about it, when I think about it now, I'm like, I should have really spoken up, and there was really no reason for me not to. But I just truly believe that, having the right resources and speaking up for what you really, really need in life, and having other people that's really there as your support and let them love on you. And, so after that chance, of course, I'm a 2-time teen suicide survivor. But now I actually promised God at that moment when I was in the hospital for about 3 or 4 days with tubes just, coming out of my body. I really, like my brother Ruben tells me, Jennifer, you really didn't want to take your life. You wanted to take your life to the next level. but I didn't know how to do that. And so that's why I actually have started. And I promise God, Lord, you get me out of this and out of this hospital bed, I will forever use my voice to, to help uplift other people, other women that may have been, abused or battered, or people may be going through depression or, low self-esteem. So I definitely, wanted to utilize my voice for that.
I love it. I love it. And that statement that Dr. West said to you is so profound when you connect all the dots, because you were talking about how closed mouth don't get fed.
Yes.
In our families, and I'm not afraid to even say it, especially in the African American community,
Yep.
we're told to keep everything inside. We're told, don't put your business out in the street. What happens in this house stays in this house. And so when we are dealing with an issue, whether it's personal or whether it's a family issue, then we either personally or the family as a unit suffer in silence. And that suffering, I always equate it to a Coke bottle or a Pepsi bottle. You know what? If you shake somebody up enough, but you never take that top off, you never get what's shaking them up out of them, it's going to just continue to build up and build up and build up. And then the explosion is going to happen. And the explosion is either you're taking it out on somebody else,
right?
Or in your case, 2 times you attempted to take it out on yourself.
Right.
But the good news about it is that you recognized, and God allowed you to see that you were more than what you were going through. And I say it all the time that sometimes we just got to go through in order to grow through. And you could become the CEO of purses, pumps, and power if you didn't have some power put inside of you. And so I appreciate that. And I think you are a great person to be able to talk about how somebody can go through a loss and still come out on the other side and get that second chance to become a champion. And you've graced us with 3 tips that you want to share with our audience. And I want to jump right on into those tips so that you can bless our audience with your wisdom. So what your first tip that you said, and this is just me, it's the Unstoppable Story Show. So it's an unstoppable tip, Jennifer. So your first tip is be truthful with self. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Oh, wow. So being truthful with yourself really causes you, or should cause someone, to look deep. Like when I mentioned before about going through a lot of pain and just a lot of guilt, I didn't want to see, I would see the woman that's in the mirror, but I didn't really want to see the woman that's in the mirror. Like they say, you have to, see beyond or see into me, that you have to sit here and see when you look in the mirror. So I didn't want to really see and recognize. And plus I started to really believe things that were not truthful. Like I'm not beautiful, or nobody wants me, or I'm not loved, or, I had a boyfriend that was in high school, my very first boyfriend that broke my heart. So I was really struggling with who I was and my identity. And I was struggling with just being truthful and knowing that I am, a good woman, or I am a great person, or I am on the right path. But when I wasn't being truthful with myself about what was really happening for, several years, and the pain. So I had to start realizing, okay, once you be truthful with yourself, you can actually start to identify what you need to change, or what you need to improve, or what you maybe need to stop doing. So being truthful with yourself is, to thy own self be true, like they say, right?
Absolutely.
And until you are truthful with yourself, you can't get truthful about getting on the other opposite side of what it is that you want.
Absolutely. Great tip there, Jennifer. And Robert actually, he was actually thinking this along the same lines of you. Robert Brooker was saying we can really be hard on ourselves, and it is almost a universal thing.
Yep.
I am no exception, but I have learned to understand that I am a work in progress. We all are. Yes.
That's right.
Striving to always be a work in progress, a continual student of life, to keep moving forward is a great way to move through life.
That's
Thank
good.
you. Yeah. What do you have to say about his comment?
Well, that comment, Robert, really resonates with me because we are hard on ourselves. Oftentimes, I believe we compare ourselves to what someone else may have, or we compare ourselves always to maybe what the world says we should have or do. In my case, I was trying to live up to what, my parents, my mother being an educator or a teacher, I knew I couldn't bring home any bad grades, or I knew I had to sit here and I wanted to succeed. But I also was trying to please, my parents in a sense of, making, straight A's and honor roll and, playing sports and just so much just piling on. But I do believe Robert is definitely right. We are way harder on ourselves than what we should be. And I think we also compare ourselves to what we think somebody else's vision or they thoughts or have of us.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? I didn't know we had the same parents, because it sounds like the exact same thing I went through. And of course, I'm just kidding. But, I grew up in a household. My father passed away when I was 1, so I didn't know him at all. But in my household, like typical Black families, my mom was in the house, my grandma was in the house, my aunt was in the house, as well as my siblings. So each adult had a different perception of who I was going to eventually be. And so my mom, again, she was just like your mom, demanded that I came home with good grades. The bad grades wasn't allowed in the house. Not if she was going to working 2 jobs to put you in private school. That just wasn't happening.
No.
My aunt, on the contrary, she was already in school and she was getting her law degree, and she would come home and say, "Terrence, you're going to be the next Thurgood Marshall." And I'm like, "Who?" Yeah, you're going to be the next justice of the Supreme Court. So there's that lofty expectation right there.
Yes.
And then meanwhile, my grandma, she would sit at home and she liked to watch the old Westerns at the time. And she loved her some John Wayne. And she's like, "Baby, you going to be the next Duke." And for anyone who knows John Wayne, you're dating yourself, number one. But to know his nickname, they called him the Duke. So she started calling me the Duke. So I say that all to say that we both, and a lot of people who are probably watching this show, have had to live through the expectations of somebody else on them.
Yes.
Without even having the time to find out who they were themselves. And that's what usually tends to those big losses, because those losses came for us trying to be something that God didn't create us to be, but what other people wanted us to be.
That's right. And oftentimes people put those expectations on themselves and other people are not even expecting them to do that. Or they're looking at it from a sense of, like you say, that bar. Like my mother told me, there's no Black women or no Black girls as far as in engineering. She always wanted me to do engineering. And I didn't really want to do engineering. I actually went to college. My freshman year was to be a family attorney because I wanted to practice law. And that path kind of changed. But then that was the expectation that my mother put on me. So then I said, okay, I went ahead and tried out engineering because at the time that was the good paying job. But one thing I realized, that just wasn't the life for me. So I actually started to pursue my passion. But I say that to say that a lot of people are working jobs or in a career that they are just unfulfilled.
Yes.
They expect the expectations, their spouse or their significant other, or sometimes they're putting that expectation on their child. Maybe other people are an attorney, like you mentioned, or they may be an engineer. So you expecting your child to do that, or you're expecting them to be the next doctor, or you're expecting them to be the next, whatever,
Right.
guru. So oftentimes that can put people in a position where they don't live their purpose.
Absolutely. And I had the opportunity to MC an event for Les Brown a couple of years ago, and I will never forget him saying this live on the stage. You know what? I'm not trying to be the next whoever. I'm not trying to be the next Zig Ziglar. I'm not trying to be the next Tony Robbins. But what I am always seeking to do is to be the best Les Brown.
Yes.
And I took that and I made it my own, because I'm not trying to be the next Les Brown.
Right.
Have some Les Brown money, want to be able to have some notoriety, but I'm not trying to be the next Les Brown. I'm always looking at the man in the mirror, that man who sees me every morning, sees me with all my flaws, with the hairs out of place, with the beard that might be untucked, with the weight that might be up or the weight that might be down.
Right.
But I'm always looking at that person and taking your tip to thine own self be true. When you're true to yourself, then you can move past those losses, and then you get that second chance, like you say in the book, that second chance to now start focusing on who you were meant to be, especially if you spent the first part of your life trying to be somebody you weren't supposed to be.
Right. Well, it's also not just who I was meant to be, but who God really, called me to be.
You know what? And what's the difference between those two? I try to tell people, but let me hear you tell them the difference.
I have made so many mistakes trying to do it my way and not realizing that it needs to be God's way. Even growing up with a family or a mother, like I said, we were in church, we were in the choir, you going to Sunday school, you're going to volunteer. So it was one of those things that the faith was there, but even though I went to church with my mother and got baptized when I was a teenager, I didn't have that personal relationship with God until I realized that those seeds that were sown from being able to call on God at that moment, at my low moments. But there's a difference also, Terrence, between a good idea and a God idea.
Absolutely.
Right? As I love Tim's story when he talks about that. That's actually one of his books. But when I thought about it, I was like, me taking or trying to take my life was not a God idea. Now, I thank God that he stepped in to allow me to have a second chance at life. So now I can live out that purpose that he truly has for me. But a person has to truly recognize and realize that no matter what mistakes you make or just get clarity on truly, is this a good idea or a God idea? Am I walking in God's purpose for my life, or am I just doing what the crowd is doing? Am I lonely in a sense that I want to have companionship, or am I trying to just, be in a relationship that may be toxic and it may not be what God has for me?
Absolutely.
I've done it all.
Somebody needs to put in the feed. Is your life a good ideal, or is it a God ideal? That's a powerful statement. I want to get a comment up real quick, and then we'll move into the second tip. Okay. Lady Rochelle Dotson Matheny says, never be afraid to make adjustments. Sometimes we get stuck on plans that we have set in place that may not be route God wants to take us.
That's right.
For so my audience.
Think about paths that we're on, and we're thinking we're on the right path, but have we really truly, seek God's wisdom to be on that path? But, sometimes he has to make us, have a little detour. And I would also say too, Terrence, is that losing both of my parents before I was even 40 really shook me up in a sense that I started, especially, after I was able to have those years with them, after that incident happened in high school. But it really kind of shook me up to understand and realize that, time is not, waiting for anyone. And something as simple as just losing a parent or losing a child or losing a job or maybe losing a house, I have seen it just crush people. But you have to use your faith to get through.
And those are great tips. Great. Let's move on to tip number 2.
Okay.
So after you be truthful with self, then the unstoppable tip number 2 says that you have to forgive yourself for past
Yes.
mistakes.
Yes.
I think you're about to sit in somebody's seat in the pew on this one. But talk to us about forgiving yourself for those past mistakes so that you can be unstoppable in 2019.
Forgiveness is something that I daily ask God for forgiveness. And I'm not trying to be all spiritual or deep. I'm just saying, that's what's really, truly had to get me through. I've had to forgive God for, ask God to forgive me for being in the wrong relationships. Just trying to find love in the wrong places. I had to ask God to forgive me for just making certain decisions that I knew deep down inside, it really wasn't the right decision, but I was just making that decision to say, you know what, it's all right. I'll recover. And forgiveness is also, it's personal. I really, really think about forgiveness being personal because forgiveness is a choice, number one. So sometimes people walk around with unforgiveness, and if you sit here and walk around with unforgiveness or hurt, like they say, hurt people hurt other people. But if you walk around with unforgiveness, then how can God truly forgive you? Because we ask God every day to forgive us. And each morning when you wake up, you have a second chance to get it right. But I've had to ask God for many mistakes that I've made. I'm telling you, from I've recovered from foreclosure, being in the wrong relationships that led to foreclosure, to, bankruptcy, allowing people to, run my business a particular way that they actually, stole money from me. Golly, just trusting the wrong people when it comes to even, some mentors I trusted, some family members I trusted. I just had to really just forgive God ask God to forgive me for a lot of things, because it got to a point where I said, you know what, there's a reason why all of these L's are happening in my life. Mm-hmm. But when I started to forgive for my mistakes and I started to sit here and say, you know what, I'm gonna have look at things now with God's vision and not just, what I thought it's supposed to be. So I made many mistakes. Some of the biggest ones in relationships, to, losing, businesses for, not making the right, godly decision. So I had to really forgive myself and try and look to bounce back, really.
Wow. Yeah. And trust me, anyone who's honest with themselves and who's watching this show probably knows that they've made a lot of mistakes or they've had a lot of failures. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we find it hard to forgive ourselves for the failures because we tend to think of ourselves as the failure, right, as opposed to the person who may have gone through some failures. And, they say you'll never pass the test if you never learn the lesson. Well, the test comes later because there are things that you have to learn first. So if you didn't go through the mistake of that led to the foreclosure, then you wouldn't be able to talk to people like you talk to them today as a real estate guru and a stock market savant. If you didn't go through the loss of your parents, then you wouldn't be able to help people like you help people today when they deal with their loss or whatever loss of a family member, sibling, even close friend. Oh my God, a childhood friend of mine passed away months before his 50th birthday. And his birthday was before my birthday. So that meant my 50th birthday hadn't come either. And I remember like it was yesterday sitting in the funeral and saying, well, what if I don't make it to my 50th?
Right.
And it really tested my mortality. It really was a wake-up call, and it really was a shock. And it was another one of the reasons why I wanted to be a part of this book, because it made me realize, just like I'm sure it made you realize, that you only get this one time.
You only get one.
And it was time to stop playing. And part of stop playing so that you can start living the life that, as we said, God created us to live.
Right.
Is to first forgive yourself for playing. I had to say, God, forgive me. I forgive myself for playing. I didn't take it serious, but hey, you just shook me. You just told me. You just gave me something that I could see that resonated loud and clear. I get it, God.
That's
and
right.
so maybe for you, it was having the loss of both parents before you were 40. Whatever it was, we forgive ourselves for our past mistakes. We be truthful with ourselves, and then that allows us to move forward. Would
That's
you agree
right.
with that?
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And whenever you don't forgive yourself, it's like you allow the enemy, or you allow other people to start giving you the narrative of how you're supposed to live your life, or how you're supposed to, or you walk around with, like I did, because I didn't forgive myself for not speaking up, when things were happening to me as a, as a teenager and a young girl. I didn't, forgive myself for, picking the wrong guys. So at one time I just totally shut down, but I had to learn to forgive myself and realize that I could trust my judgment, and even if you do make a mistake, it's okay, because that's the only way you're going to learn is if you make mistakes. But truly, definitely forgiveness for, oh God, forgiveness.
Absolutely.
So many times. But the other thing about forgiveness is that it takes a weight off of you as well. And especially when you forgive yourself for your past mistakes, because, I'm a faith person, and Jesus, I feel like, bared it all. No matter what someone's faith is, they have to come to a point where, it's a release, and, you don't have to walk around with so much guilt or so much shame. So definitely forgiving yourself for mistakes.
Absolutely. We are coming down to the tail end of the Unstoppable Story show. So definitely, you guys, you're commenting. We love it. But show our guests some love. Hit that heart button, hit that like button. Let her know that you are out there and that you appreciate these unstoppable tips that she's sharing with you, so that you can go from the big L, the big losses in your life, and get that second chance towards being a champion and being unstoppable in 2019. So Jennifer, you got 2 more points, and we're going to try to run through them, but address them both in the time that we have left. And, I love this one. And it's just, after you have looked yourself in the mirror, after you've forgiven yourself for the mistakes of your past, now you have a new slate. You have a new board.
Yeah.
And now you can create a new vision for your life. Right. How did you go about doing that in your life?
Well, how I went about doing that is I started creating, I know it's cliche now, but I really started creating vision boards. But also I thrust myself into a lot of reading, not only just reading the Word of God, because Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision and make it plain. So I had to start writing out what I wanted to see, even though I didn't always see myself as this, this beautiful girl or this vibrant girl. I had to start writing it out. So I would write out on a piece of paper affirmations, and I would put them on a note card, and I would just read them over and over and over again. And after I got out of the hospital, when I was, out of high school, my parents put me into some self-development courses. And I also started just really reading a lot of books like Think and Grow Rich, Hung by the Tongue, The Magic of Thinking Big, Zig Ziglar, See You at the Top. I mean, I really would read a book, actually probably 2 books a month. And I did that ever since I was like 18 and 19 years old. So I had to start pouring in and saying, you know what, this was the vision, or I thought this was going this particular way, but I had to really start taking a look at and just writing it down, no matter what, just writing it down. Like they say, you have to see it before you see it, or you'll never see it.
Oh, right? Yeah. I think you need to say that one more time. You gotta what?
You have to see it, right?
Before you can.
or you can see it,
So
or
that
you
you
never
can.
see it.
Oh man, that's
Right.
so true. You know, some of the simplest quotes are some of the most powerful quotes, but that is one of them. And I love how you, as you created the new vision for yourself, you replace the negative thoughts with more positive
Yes.
reinforcement, positive books, positive affirmations. We talk a lot as speakers and part of the Black Belt Speaker Group. We talk a lot about getting our audience to turn off the TV and spend time with themselves. You know,
Right.
if you want to hide valuable information from somebody, where's the
Put it
best
in the
place to
book.
hide it? In a book.
In a book.
But then if you want to give somebody a lifeline that can have them
Yeah.
live their best life, where do you put it?
Put it in the book.
Put
That's
it in
right.
the book.
And my mother was old school when it comes to books, because now we have audio and all those things. But I'm still a girl that just loves a book in her hand.
Like the feel of it. Yeah.
I still have to feel it. I still have to touch it. And I think that's, not saying that audiobooks are not bad, are bad, but I'm just still that old fashioned girl that just got to still have a book in her hand.
Absolutely nothing wrong with that. And the point is, I love that we have this opportunity where there's no excuse for not being able to create that new vision for yourself, because there's so many different ways you can do it. You can do it through the affirmations, you can do it through the book, you can do it through the regular vision board, the virtual vision board, you can come on shows like this and get fed to the point where you can create a new vision for yourself. So I'm glad that you're an old-fashioned girl, but you got some new school tools available to you to help those people along the way.
Right.
Now, you had this one final tip, and it is a phenomenal, I call it our unstoppable final tip for the night.
Okay.
And it's simply the most powerful 4 words you can ever put together. And it's take massive action now.
Yes.
Why is that so important?
Well, that's so important because time waits for no one. I mean, it really does not. And after losing both parents, like within 4 years of each other, I realized time. I mean, think about it right now. We're already into the next month coming in for, 2019.
Yeah.
And it feels like it was just, New Year's Eve, or it feels like it was just, September of last year. But when you think about time, oftentimes we have wasted time, because we all get 24 hours a day, no matter if you're an athlete, no matter if you're a CEO, no matter if you're a mom, no matter if, whatever a person's situation or profession is, we all get 24 hours. But the reason why I say, Terrence, about taking massive action now is because you're going to look up and you're going to be, in your 40s, or a person may be in their 50s, like you say, or their 60s, and they're regretting not doing the things or going after the goals that they had set or wanted to do. Or they're saying, I'll wait till the kids graduate from college or high school. And then they'll say, I'll wait till I get more money. Or I'll wait till I get married. Or some of them saying I'll wait till I get divorced. You just never know where people are. But the thing I said about time is because when I got that time back every single day, when God gave me that second chance, I knew I could not lose it. Now, another thing about time is that when you think about it, the more time you waste, then you're only prolonging, being ahead and learning, maybe that skill set that a person may want to learn. Or you may be prolonging love, or you may be prolonging getting yourself back out there, to live your best life, because life is not going to wait for you. We have to take it by the bullhorn. But the other thing is, as far as with time, some people I know look up, I have clients now, they're like, oh my gosh, my kids are, about to head off to college, and they don't even realize that those 16, 17 years have gone by just like that. Or they may have lost their mother, in my case, or lost a father, and they realize they didn't utilize and take the time at that moment to be in the moment. So
Right. And one of our fellow speakers, Jeff Martinet, his slogan is make every second count. And he says you have to make every second count. Why? Because you never know when it's going to be your last.
That's right.
We're spending all this time wasting time thinking that we have the next minute, we have the next hour, we have the next day. Oh, I'll get to it next week. Oh, I'll put that on 2020's vision board. And
Right.
you may not have 20 seconds
That's
left
right.
from the time you said that. So it's important to take action now. And you didn't just say take action. You didn't say take action now. You said take massive action now.
Right.
Because here's the thing. If you want to live your life on the next level, it's going to take some climbing. It's going to take some elevation, which is my word for 2019, #elevate. And you can't climb to that next level with haphazard energy.
Right.
You got
One
to
thing I learned too, Terrence, is that action is energy.
Action is energy.
Action is energy. So the more you start moving, progressing forward, having thoughts with your mind, the more you take action, the more, you get energized, you get excited, you get hopeful, you get, like you say, you're looking to elevate or level up in particular areas of your life. But action is energy.
Yes. And action now leads to urgency. Yeah. And that's what we want you guys to have in 2019. We want you to have a sense of urgency about this. I want you to live your next life, live your best life, live the unstoppable life like you have no other choice in life.
That's right.
Because that's just how important it is. If you live your best life, if you live your unstoppable life, and then you are living the life that God created you to live, then I know for a fact that you are going to be helping somebody else. Right. And that's important because that somebody else is waiting on you.
That's right.
To do what you need to do. So if they have to wait for you to live your best life, then they may lose their life waiting on you.
That's right. That's right. And the one thing I've really, really set out this year is to live my life with declarations. Like I declare that, I would not live in the fear of my doubts, or I declare that I'm going to take massive action now. So, and I write about that in my upcoming book, the Black Woman's Declaration of Independence that you mentioned earlier. But I write about that as far as declarations. You got to declare some things in your life. And until you declare and make declarations over your life, and then that way you can truly live your best life, because you are setting a new vision by declaring what you are going to have. Like you say, you have to, say it, speak it, think it, believe it, and work it. So.
So talk more about this phenomenal book that you have coming up, The Black Woman's Declaration of Independence.
Wow. So I'm so excited about it. The Black Woman's Declaration of Independence. I really wrote that book because not that it's excluding any other women, because I'm a Black woman, I can only speak for my perspective, but it was also one of those things that was resonating when I had to start declaring things over my life because I got a second chance at life. And so the book is about, helping women declare, over their life, for their life, to live their best life. And it's also, the foreword was actually by the amazing Dr. Clyde Rivers. I'm not sure if you remember him.
Kind of know him, the phenomenal Dr. Clyde Rivers, definitely.
Yeah. So Dr. Clyde Rivers did the foreword in the book, and there's 10 declarations. Of course, the Bible had 10 commandments. So there's 10 declarations for women. And the first chapter I talk about is a chapter that I dedicated after my dad, which is called Jump Into Your Life. Now, I did that chapter first because my father actually taught me how to, declare things and become this, fearless, woman or girl that's actually independent. And so, but he also taught me how to, he was a paratrooper in the Army in the 82nd Airborne. So he really taught me how to jump into opportunities. jump into not being fair. And even if you make a mistake, hey, you tried it, you jumped. And so at that chapter, and then of course I have a chapter in there about being the light, that my mother was truly a light in my life. And so, I'm actually going to be starting a tour this year called I Declare It, the tour. And it's going to be helping women all over the world and, other continents, because we're going to be going overseas and in different areas, just really, really helping little girls, helping women, helping moms, helping entrepreneurs dig deep and just declare over their life the true things that they're going to have. So one of the declarations is there's power in my now. And that's one of the things that I really, really, really am looking to have and help other women declare what their now is.
That's a powerful affirmation all in itself. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about the tour when it gets started. And we've got on the screen right now that if you want to pre-order a copy of her book that's due to be released in February, correct?
Yes.
So if you want to pre-order the book right now, and I think she's got a special offer that she wants to share with the Unstoppable Show audience, but you go on the screen, you've got it right there, that you can pre-order the book by going to jennifernewbook.com. So you've got a special offer you want to share with them, right?
Yes, absolutely. So for just your audience, of course, with you and I being co-authors in the book. So for everyone, or actually, I'm gonna have to limit it to the first 20 people that actually pre-ordered the book. They go to jennifernewbook.com, and for everyone, the first 20 that pre-orders the book before, I don't want to really date this, but I'm just going to say the first 20 people that pre-orders the book, then I'm actually going to be giving them a copy for free that we were in together, Live Your Best Life, You Only Get One. So they're actually going to get 2 books for the price of one.
For the price of one. Now that's an unstoppable deal. So for the first 20 people that go to jennifernewbook.com. Now she ain't announced this to nobody else.
I haven't.
Have the opportunity, my Unstoppable Stories family, you have the opportunity to go get a copy of the Black Woman's Declaration of Independence, and she's going to throw in a copy of the book Live Your Best Life. So you actually get her book twice. You even get to see me again by picking up the copy of the Live Your Best Life, You Only Get One. So go on over to jennifernewbook.com. Now she's only doing it for the first 20. So what was our unstoppable tip? Our unstoppable final tip was that if you want to be one of the first 20, you've got to take massive action now. All right. I love it. Jennifer Harris, it has been a blessing. It has been a privilege. It has been an honor to have you grace the Unstoppable Stories stage. I am looking forward to all the great things that you're going to be doing in 2019. I'm looking forward to being there to see you shine in 2019 continually, and to see all the wins.
Yes.
The losses. So you got any closing thoughts for our audience?
So I just want to say that to every woman, everyone, men out there included as well, as far as being unstoppable, just take action. Take action. Don't wait. Collaborate with other winners or people that are going and moving forward in life. Surround yourself with a good coach, a great mentor, and just really dive in deep and just go for it. I mean, what do you have to lose? You don't have anything to lose unless you really go for it. You don't go for it, you really have a lot to lose. But, you want to make sure that you just press forward, don't stop. And unstoppable basically means not stopping. Not stopping with your goals, not stopping with your dreams. And even if you fall, just get right back up, because, you always get a second chance at being a champion.
I love it. The words of Muhammad Ali says that it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you attempt to get back up.
Right.
that makes you a champion. So you are truly a champion. I love what you're doing. I love what you've already done. You
Thank
live your
you.
best life. You only get one. And I know that great book that's coming out next month, The Black Woman's Declaration of
Yes.
Independence. Oh man, I know I can see women right now running over each other to get a copy of that book. So
I'm
looking forward
excited
to
to share.
big things for you. Would you please, I'm gonna send you back down into the lobby, but could you put your information in the comments section again? And we look forward to having you back on the platform whenever your time permits. Okay.
Thank you. And I really thank you for, putting the word out there, supporting other authors, and just having your show for many, many, many years, because you are definitely a leader. And that's the biggest thing, is being persistent and consistent. And you have done that in this space. And I really appreciate the opportunity.
I thank you so much. So we're going to put you back down in the lobby, but don't hang up. I'm going to talk to you after the show. Again, that is Jennifer Harris. She is the CEO of Persis Pumps and Power, and she is a co-author in the book Live Your Best Life, You Only Get One. And look out for her new release, The Black Woman's Declaration of Independence. Be the first 20 to go over to jennifernewbook.com, and you can get not just one book, but two for the price of one. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, that was Jennifer Harris. I love it. Love these comments that came in. Robert Brooker, yes, the man's attitude was awesome. Do it on faith. We have Suzette Lynette Sanders saying she loves it. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming in, Susie. I appreciate you. There was a lot of interaction. Dwight Jeramus, he was saying time is filled with swift transitions. Dwight, I'd love to have an offline conversation with you as we talk about forgiveness. We know it's easy to say but hard to do, but this is the Unstoppable Story Show. So we won't be stopped because it's hard. We're just going to keep moving through, because we know that no matter what the struggle is, what the pain you've been through, whatever you need to forgive yourself through, forgiveness is the transition that's going to lead you to the promised land, which is living your best life. Why? Because you only get one. And that is so true. So we thank Jennifer for coming on the show. And we want to know if this was a blessing for you. We do this show each and every week. We want to bring people to you that uplift you, that motivate you, and educate you. But we know that very few things in life are free. And in order to continue to bring you this quality programming, it always takes the bottom line. It takes the monetary thing. So if this show was a blessing to you, why not consider being a blessing to the Unstoppable Story Show? And you can donate to us at our PayPal link, paypal.me/unstoppable coaching. Any donation would be accepted. It allows us to continue to keep the lights on here at the Unstoppable Story Show. It continues to allow us to reach out to phenomenal guests like Jennifer Harris that can share great information with you that will hopefully not only change your life, but maybe even in some cases, save your life. So if this was a blessing, consider being a blessing to the Unstoppable Story Show. Go to paypal.me/unstoppable stories. And hey, maybe you want to be a guest on the Unstoppable Story Show. Maybe you have an unstoppable story that you just want to get out of your head and get your message out to the masses. Then we want to talk to you. If you want to be a guest on the Unstoppable Story Show, just simply email us at info@unstoppablecoaching.com. That's info@unstoppablecoaching.com. And we would love to hear your unstoppable story. And guess what? Maybe you will be the next guest on the Unstoppable Story Show. So go on over to info@unstoppablecoaching.com and send us a bit about your unstoppable story, and someone from the Unstoppable Story staff will get back in contact with you. All right. So once again, I just want to remind you guys, about February 23rd. February 23rd, the Authors Read Literary Showcase here in Chicago. It's going to be from noon to 4 p.m. here in Chicago. Simply go to the registration for this free event at bit.ly/authors read. And that's a capital A in authors, just like you see it on the screen. It's free. We want to see all your faces in the place, and we're going to be doing a live stream episode of the Unstoppable Story Show there. So definitely, we want you to come out and be a part of the studio audience and see these phenomenal 10 authors from the Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana area. So go on over to bit.ly Authors Read and register now to have your face in the place on February 23rd for the Authors Read Literary Showcase. So, all right, you guys, well, that is a wrap. Another phenomenal Unstoppable Story Show. We hope that will encourage you to move past those big losses that you've had in your past. Forgive yourself. Recognize that you are worthy of having a second chance to be a champion. And we hope to see you here again next week with the Unstoppable Story Show, where we talk to ordinary people with unstoppable stories. And as important, you know what I say, wherever you are in the world today, don't just make it a great day, make it an unstoppable day. See you next week.